members of the OG Army. Get those wallets unfolded. Coming up next on the OtherGround live stage, prepare for an eargasm by Passive J and Big Dalton.
Well, good afternoon. Excuse me. Holy shit. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, and welcome to yet another edition of OtherGround Live. I'm Passive J. That's Big Dalton over there. Say hello, Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is June the 27th. It is a Saturday. There are fights on tonight, and I just about had a heart attack when my alarm went off at 5:45 that apparently I never turned off from yesterday.
That's funny, dude. Yeah. Well, it didn't work yesterday, but hopefully it did today.
It freaked me the fuck out today. I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden my phone starts wigging out on me. God damn.
Right. Well, I have my phone set to many different alarms for different times. Like I get up at a different time, different days of the week. So I have all that shit set up. But anyways, that's what we're talking about. I see the OG Army's forming up in the chat box. Always good to have you guys here. Other than being scared to death by your alarm, how did your day go, Ryan?
I've been up since about 1:30 this morning. So there's that.
Oh my.
Kind of fucking tired, but hey, we got an hour here.
Yes, we do. Oh, hey, Mr. Coleman, I saw your call. I was just letting Ryan finish up before I took you on. If you're more than welcome to call back. All right. We got a caller early in the show today. Let's see how this goes. Welcome, Coleman.
Jay, someone let your hot tub on
as we expected.
Yeah. Goddamn.
Oh shit! I didn't put those two together until just now. It's like, oh, Coleman, what is that? Like a cooler in this picture or something? My hot tub just called in. That's amazing. I should have my wife go check on that. That was pretty funny. Whoever that was a good one, sir. So why have you been up since 1:30? Is it still the back issues again?
Yeah, my back is completely fucked. It's no fun at all.
God, and it's always such little shit. Like it's not like you were lifting a car or moving your refrigerator or something like that. You just turn slightly to the left.
Yeah, actually, it was slightly to the right, but yeah, it was actually after a set of bench. Felt totally fine. Sit up, feel perfectly fine. Turn a little. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. And I have to say, it only gets worse as you get older. It takes less and less for your body to say, nah, fuck that, and shut down. But, obviously that's no reason to stop doing it. The more you do it, the less likely it's going to happen, and the more healthier you're going to be anyways. So,
yeah, so I did some trap and lat work throughout the day, try to keep things kind of loose, and maybe it'll stop bugging me here in a few days. But goddamn, yeah, they need to come up with a nice outpatient procedure, kind of like they've gotten with hip replacements, and just give me a new spine.
Yeah. I unfortunately do not see that coming anytime soon, but that doesn't mean that it won't happen. I mean, shit, there's amazing leaps in technology every day. If you would ask me 10 years ago if there's going to be a viable electric car driving around on the road with a whole bunch of people owning it, I would have told you probably not. But look what happened with that shit.
Well, exactly. You would have projected that tricycles were going to be the next big thing.
They still are going to be the next big thing. Dude, look up electric tricycles. You'll be fucking amazed. There's amazing work going on. No, there's nothing going on. But hopefully they do have electric bicycles, and I believe there are even electric tricycles, but it's, expensive as shit and probably not that effective yet. The electric bikes are supposedly nice, though, although I kind of don't see the point of it. I guess it's for people that want to go really long distances while only cycling moderate distances.
Yeah, I've always struggled with that idea of the electric bike. It's like you're halfway between a bike and a motorcycle. Pick one.
Yeah, I mean, my brother-in-law actually has one. He uses it a lot. He likes it. And he said he likes it because now he can put as much or a little effort into it as he wants. He rides it to work, and I think it's like 5 miles away or some shit like that. So it's not a trivial distance. Five obviously experienced bikers do way more than that all the time, but that's about as much as I think I'd want to bike before going to work. So I can understand why you'd want one for some days when he's either too sleepy to fucking put a lot of effort into it, or too tired after work to put a lot of effort into it. And 5 miles is probably not enough, you know, um, distance to bother to buy a motorcycle. Obviously, he has a car, but he just likes taking his bike most days, and that was his justification.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess, dude, it's a fucking weird, fucked up thing, dude. He is as tall as I am. I think I might be a touch taller than him, but he's wider in the shoulders, so he actually looks taller for some reason until I stand right up next to him. But it's close enough that it's not even. And he's thin and he wears glasses. I wonder about my wife sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah. Shit. What do you got today, sir?
Well, we actually have breaking news.
Oh, what's that?
So it just came out that the Mississippi legislature is starting the process to change the state's flag.
Oh, I was unaware there was anything wrong with its previous flag. Oh, but it is Mississippi, so
Well,
why am I not surprised?
Well, yeah, it has the Confederate flag as part of their flag.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, like
I can see that would probably get changed now. Yeah.
Yeah, so like think of like an American flag. The area where all of the stars are.
Mm-hmm.
They have kind of that portion is a Confederate flag, and then they have just 3 stripes of blue, white, and red.
Oh, well, once again, I don't really care one way or another. I can see why some people would be offended by it. As we spoke on the entire thing before, as far as the statues and stuff go, if they're old and of historical value, I kind of don't like to see them go. Anything new built like that, I don't give a shit. Mississippi's flag, I guess, go ahead. Once again, I don't, I'm not super offended by the entire Confederate flag thing, but I can understand why a lot of people would be unhappy with it. So it's probably going to go away, and I don't really care.
Well, yeah, I'm just surprised that Mississippi is just doing this. Like, you wouldn't think of Mississippi of taking on this topic, really.
So well, there is a lot of it going around right now, and they might just be being proactive and decide that they're going to change their flag before people start protesting them about it. Although I'm not really sure how you protest an entire state's flag. I guess you'd go to their state capital, and go bitch at about it there and protest and such. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they're doing it, but not super surprised. It's the way things are going now. And once again, I don't really care if they get rid of that shit. I mean, it's like, as we've talked about before, it's the loser's flag. And it's funny, some people don't think about it like that at all. I know people that are not racist in the least bit that have Southern heritage, and that's what they think. It's their Southern heritage flag. And I've talked to them about it before, and I'm like, don't you think it
existed for 5 years?
Yeah, I saw a good meme about that. It said, the Confederacy existed for 5 years. Golden Girls existed for 7 years. So technically, Golden Girls is of more historic significance than the Civil War. So we should have like big statues of Blanche and and the rest of the girls all over the place.
Well, and speaking of statues, we actually have kind of a follow-up. Actually, we have several follow-ups today. God damn.
Oh, okay. What we got?
The first follow-up, there's the petition to change Columbus, Ohio to be Flavortown. Well, there's also a petition now for the statue of Christopher Columbus in Columbus to be changed to something else. You'll never guess what it is.
Oh, what is that?
This one will have you actually planning a trip to Ohio if it goes through, because you will need to take a picture with this. They are proposing to replace the Christopher Columbus statue with a statue of Chef Boyardee.
Who I assume's company was originally from Ohio at some point or another, hence the significant value of Chef Boyardee. But let me ask you something, Ryan. Shouldn't Italian Americans and Italians in general be offended by Chef Boyardee? Isn't that a horrible Italian stereotype, and that they shouldn't be using that as their spokesperson?
In today's cancel culture, yeah, probably. But I mean,
yeah, so that's an interesting way to go with.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's the petition. So we may have Flavortown, Ohio, and in the city square, Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, by the way, it's not like I enjoy ravioli, since you guys are going to make fun of me for it forever. I was just hungry, and that was what was in the house. You don't always have to have a super healthy meal. Sometimes it's okay to have junk. Not that often, but shit, you guys acted like I ate an entire can of poison or something, which technically I did, but it was delicious.
It's pretty close, yeah. So in other follow-ups...
Okay,
also, we talked about the Karen that backfired with the Starbucks thing.
Yeah,
Well, she's come out and saying that she's getting death threats and things like that. So she's trying to get the GoFundMe shut down. And she also wants a cut.
How does she justify that, I imagine?
It's a Karen. Like, that's her thing. She also believes that she deserves part of the money.
I saw a meme bouncing around Facebook. And I can't remember the exact wording of it, but it was supposed to be a Twitter thing from someone that just got called a Karen. And she said, "Don't you know that's racist?" And the guy was like, "What do you mean by that?" And she goes, "It's racist because it's racist against white people of color." And and he's like, "Dude, are you just making shit up now?" But I've heard, it's a tweet. Who knows if it's real or not? But that shit goes. But Karens are scary. It's at this point, the funniest thing about the entire Karen thing is them thinking that being called a Karen is on the same level as being called the N-word or something like that. That's the most Karen thing. This is the most Karen way you could possibly think about something. So the name justifies that right off the bat. If you care about being called a Karen, you are 100% a Karen.
Yeah, that's a little it's something that they just started calling people in the last year.
Right.
Exactly. I don't think there's a historical significance of your irritable middle-aged white woman being, held down. There's not really oppression there.
Yeah. Well, not traditionally, no. I believe middle-class white women are probably one of the few examples of white privilege that you could probably find out there. If you think like a Karen, you've probably had a pretty privileged life. And I'm not into that entire white privilege thing. I think that's silly, but it's apparently true.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't get the whole Karen thing, although I do find this particular story hilarious. She thought she was going to rile everybody up by saying, by taking a picture of a poor barista and saying next time she's going to come back with the cops and a waiver from her doctor and shit like that. And then the barista gets, I think it's up to over $20,000 now. I think last time we talked, it was at 16 or 17.
Yeah. When I saw the headline today or yesterday, I think it was up to 22 or 24,000.
And of course, her being the ultimate Karen and solidifying that, wanting a chunk of it and threatening to sue for, slander and libel.
The world today, I swear. What else you got, sir?
So this one actually pains me. I don't know how I'm going to reconcile this, as a person, but I don't think I can support The Simpsons anymore.
Why is that, sir?
So they are taking on the idea of that voice actor you talked about, and going forward, no characters of color will be voiced by a white person.
Meh. Well, I mean, on one hand, that kind of makes sense. Why would you hire a white person to do a black person's a character if you can find a black person that's equally talented? I guess that makes sense. On the other hand, I don't think it'd be fair I think everyone should have an equal chance at a job, is how I generally think about stuff. So I'm not sure if that's cool as how I think about like that. But on the other hand, it does seem kind of silly to have Asian characters or black characters or Mexican characters played by people that aren't that. They can't do that. They don't do that in real television. I'm sure there are just as many talented voiceover artists in those ethnicities as there are white people. So
I don't know. Did you ever see the John Wayne movie that he played an Indian?
There's a movie that wouldn't get made today, huh?
But no, so like the problem I have with this one is number one, this show's been around for like 30 years. Like, why are you going to disrupt characters?
Yeah.
And number two, if you're going to come out and go full like social justice on this, why aren't you changing the person that does Bart Simpson's voice?
Yeah, because that's been done by that chick for the entire time. Yeah, okay. And now, when I said I don't really have a problem with this, I assume they meant ongoing. They're not going to fire people that had the job and give it to other people, are they?
No, that actually does sound like what they're doing.
Oh, that's not cool at all, dude. That's not fair. I mean, if you want to change your policy ongoing and do that, but you can't just fire people because you decide you don't like the color of their skin now, that's fucking racist. You know?
Well, it's stupid anyway. It's affirmative action is what it is. It's like full-blown affirmative action where you're not even looking at someone outside of the race or color that the character is. Like, this is voice acting. Like, you want the person that most sounds like what you think that character should sound like.
Yep. And in most cases, that would probably be I don't know. Everybody talks American, so... Yeah, it's a weird issue. I'm not really 100% sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I've got mixed feelings.
Yeah, I can't support it. Mind you, Simpson hasn't really been like in their stride for a while now, but
yeah,
like that one bothers me. Oh, and Family Guy. Cleveland is no longer going to be voiced by the person that it is today.
I stopped watching Family Guy a while ago, but when I watched him, he wasn't on the show anymore. He had his own show. Did his show do poorly enough that they had to make him go back to Family Guy?
Yeah, I think his show kind of bombed, and they put him back on Family Guy. I don't actually know. It's not like I sit around and watch Family Guy every week, but it was also discussed in kind of the same talk track.
Yeah, I knew that. I've known that for a while, and I always thought that one was kind of odd. Because it wasn't just a character who happened to be black. It seemed like they used a lot of like stereotypes on that in a joking way, and that sits a lot less well with me being a white person doing it as opposed to a black person was voicing it. You know, which it shouldn't matter, I guess, one way or another. Either it's not cool or it is cool to make those type of jokes. But yeah, I did that. I always thought it was kind of odd that they chose a white guy to play Cleveland.
Well, I think they were just looking for like again, with it being voice acting, you're looking for a certain sound. Well, you're listening for a certain sound. And like whoever did Cleveland, like that is a very recognizable character voice.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. It was distinctive, yes.
But all that's about all I have about The Simpsons. Do you have anything else, Jay, about voice acting now becoming race dependent?
No, although, as I mentioned, I stopped watching The Simpsons a while ago. I stopped watching TV in general, which is kind of ironic considering I have numerous Simpson tattoos. But as you mentioned, the quality of the show kind of went downhill in the last 10 or 15 years. But no, I think that's about all I have to say about that kind of shit. The voiceover field is weird like that anyways. It's heavily canted towards celebrities in the first place. So, which is a relatively new thing. Within like the last 10 or 15 years, it used to be only like nobodies did voiceover work. You never heard of any of them, and like real celebrities would not do voiceover work because they considered it below them until they found out how much people would pay for them to be on that. So since then, that's a lot of the high-end voiceover work is done by celebrities as opposed to regular talent. And I have no clue what this has to do with what we were actually talking about, but that was the first thing that came to mind when you asked me about if I have anything else to say about voiceovers. So I guess no, I don't have anything else, sir.
So, and I hate to say it, it seems like we have kind of just an ongoing topic for today because everything seems to be following it. But we also have L'Oreal has come out and said that they're removing the words white and whitening, fair and fairness, light and lightening from all its skincare products moving forward.
I wonder if that's related to the ongoing complaints in India with their lightening cream.
I don't know, but like by removing those words, how do you express that something is going to lighten? Like, that's an interesting question. What's your synonym here? when you're getting rid of whitening, fairness, and lightening?
That's that's an interesting question. I don't think I have a large enough vocabulary to do that myself. I can't think of another word, but I'm sure they already have something in mind. They wouldn't announce that they're going to get rid of all these words and say, "Yeah, we don't know either. We'll figure it out eventually."
Are they going to say something like positive gamma correctness makeup?
Were they going to call it like negative SUV protection or something? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with. But now they're just getting silly. I realize that nobody wants to offend anybody in this atmosphere, but at a certain point, you got to step back and go, dude, that's not necessary.
There you go, Sly Dog. Higher contrast makeup. There we go. And count on Sly to know enough about makeup.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, don't pick on Sly. He saved the show yesterday when you fell asleep. He did a whole half hour with me before I had to check in and see what the fuck my work wanted. But I wouldn't have been able to do more than 5 minutes of my normal rambling before I ran out of shit to say. So I really appreciated him calling in.
Yeah, I heard about that. I appreciate it, Sly. Way to keep Jay honest for almost 30 minutes.
I know. It was 27. I tell people it was 30, but I'm baking on the last 3.
So, final story that we have today, and it's the same along the same line. Before we get to your thrilling topics that you may have, but a Texas realtor group is also going to stop referring to the main bedroom and bathrooms in houses as the master bedroom or master bath.
Oh, that's just silly now. It's not. It's not like they say this is the master bedroom, and over here are the 3 slave bedrooms. Heck, that's. We really have gone into crazy times, haven't we?
Yeah, we really have gone too far. Like, we really do need someone to like I don't know. We need a modern Andrew Dice Clay to take some of this stuff back.
Yeah, no kidding. He was always really upfront with that stuff. I liked about half of his shit. I thought his dirty lyric rhyming shit was stupid, but he had some funny bits other than that. I can't believe the guy got a fucking movie out of that stand. Have you ever seen his movie before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, I only remember bits and pieces of it because I was really fucking high, and I was like 16, so it was a long time ago as well. But I think he played a detective or something like that. And Ford Fairlane, I believe that's the name of the movie. Look it up when you get a chance. Homelander's seen it. Yeah. I only remember bits and pieces of it, but I always remember thinking, "Holy shit, dude! He got a whole movie out of that stand-up special." Because, well, apparently Homelander's saying it's fucking awesome. So, as I mentioned, I don't remember it, so I can't really judge it for myself. I just remember being surprised he actually had a movie.
Yeah, I've definitely never seen it, so I'll just go with. Generally, Homelander has better taste than you, so I'll go with him. And then also to Homelander's point, they're never going to get away with his and hers closets and sinks. They will just have to refer to them as multiple person closets and sinks.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because now you can't just make an assumption that it's going to be a man and wife, right? It might be a man and a man. It might be a wife and a wife. It might be God who knows what. Apparently, there's a bazillion different genders right now. I've only noticed just the 2 so far, but I'm sure I'm going to come across the rest of them at one point.
Well, it goes back to that discussion of like, what's a gender and what's a sex? Like, one of them has to be a binary choice between 2 things because it's fucking science. The other one, if you're just talking who you prefer to have sex with or who you identify as, like, that can be whatever the fuck you want. You can be a unicorn for all the fuck I care.
Yeah, dude, we agree on this one because I know we've talked about it before. That's exactly how I feel about it. Dude, do what you want. My theory has always been, if you're not hurting anybody, do whatever you like as long as you're not trying to do it to me. That's my only really rule. As long as someone's not hurting somebody else, or maybe a little bit if they like that kind of thing, it doesn't hurt anybody. I've always been amazed when people cared about what other people do. Oh, they can't get married. That's against the Bible. Well, first off, that's a completely different conversation, sir. But seriously speaking, how does that hurt you in any way, shape, or form? I'm always amazed how people really want to affect other people's lives when the mentioned lives are not affecting theirs. Who cares who marries who? If you can convince me the cow really was into it, you could marry a cow, as far as I'm fucking concerned.
Yeah, but I personal choice, that shit is whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Do what you like.
So other than that, one final thing, and this is in the just absolutely dumbest take, article, source, whatever that I could ever think of, but there's a health economist out there. I don't even know what a health economist really is, but they're trying to claim that all of the protests that were going around actually slowed coronavirus spread.
Oh, so I guess health economist is a fucking idiot, because science would not back that up, I believe.
Yeah, economics professor Deval Dave from Bentley University and 4 other economists claimed that they went through a bunch of cell phone data, and they found that because there were protests, more people stayed home, so there was actually less spread.
So these people are economic majors, and that's the field that they're going into. But they decided that because they can check cell phone records and make logical deductions, all of a sudden they're disease control specialists. God, what's the name of that theory? Causation does not mean cause. Yeah, it's basically saying just because you can find something that goes along with something else, that doesn't mean they're related to each other. So that's probably a bunch of bullshit, to be honest.
It's that correlation does not necessarily represent causation.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. And that's a case of that here. Just because cell phone records might show something, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the reason. Maybe they were all staying inside because they fucking were supposed to be staying inside in the first place. How's that? And the protest had nothing to do with it, and there would have been that many people inside regardless of whether it was protests or not.
Yeah,
There's my theory.
So an excerpt from their apparently they did paper on this. While the protests themselves were large gatherings that do not match well with social distancing guidelines, the protesting population is not the only one that may have had a behavioral response. For example, other individuals who did not wish to participate in the protests, perhaps due to fear of violence from the police clashes or general unrest, may have chosen to avoid public spaces while protests were underway.
Okay. That's a lot of words, but does not really prove anything in my opinion, but that's perfectly fine. I'm not in charge of that shit. It doesn't really mean anything one way or another. They're just I assume these people are trying to justify the protests in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just looking to put out a paper that makes zero sense but would get headlines anyway.
Right. All right, now I got a topic. Have you seen this? Ron Jeremy pleaded not guilty to rape and sexual assault charges.
Like, who is... Like, I don't even know how to respond to that one.
Well, my first thought is, dude, haven't you had enough fucking sex? Why my next response is, dude, this guy is going to jail for a long fucking time. Apparently, the maximum sentence of 90 years to life in state prison if convicted of multiple charges. He was also dropped by his manager, so it looks slightly serious. But I thought that was funny. 90 years to life. That's the same thing, isn't it? Who's ever gotten 90 years in prison and then got out afterwards?
Actually, that does happen. So if you think about it, right, like those are, you get sentenced for 90 years and you're up for parole and 40.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're talking about.
Right.
I forgot. I was about to say, no goddamn person has ever walked out of that prison at the age of like 111 because they went to jail when they were 21 for 90 years. You're talking about reduced sentences and things like that.
Right.
So yeah, I suppose that's possible. But God, that's such a weird one. And apparently it's been an ongoing problem for a while. There's been reports for like at least the last 5 or 10 years, dating all the way back to 2009, I think. So apparently it turns out he's just a fucking scumbag. And my second thought is, dude, have you seen the guy? How is he raping anybody? I think like a healthy 115-pound woman could handle this dude. So I'm wondering what the details are like.
He's like damn near 70, isn't he? And he's not in very good shape.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see how any Yeah, I know men are normally much stronger than women and yada yada yada, but I don't see any female under the age of 30 or 40, having any problem, dude, handling that guy. So I'm wondering if it was like, yeah, he drugged him or something like that.
Yeah, it might be something along those lines. I don't know, but yeah, that's an odd one.
Yeah, it's sad, but I mean, I can't say he was my hero. I was always amazed the guy was fucking in porn movies in the first place. There's there's a good example of it's who you know sometimes, because from what I understand, he had a buddy who was making porno videos and he thought it'd be funny to put his ugly friend in there.
And then somehow he became like the guy.
Yeah, the guy. That's it. Fuck yeah. And I guess then that's why he was so popular, because he didn't look like a male model like most male porn stars do, so people could relate to him. Personally, I couldn't relate to him myself, but I can see why. Let's see what else we got. Oh, back on the voiceover thing. You remember when we spoke about it the other day? You'd never heard of the actress that decided she was going to quit her job.
Right.
As it turns out, her co-star, man, I'm having trouble speaking today. Her co-star, Kirsten Bell, is also on the same show and is also quitting. So I'm assuming you've heard of her.
Oh, you're saying Kristen Bell?
Yeah. God, did I screw it up that bad?
I think you said Kirsten.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering if it was like a different person or if it was like, blonde Kristen Bell.
Yes, that's who it is. I didn't realize she was on the show either, and apparently she's not anymore. She said she gladly gives up the role to someone more appropriate for the role, so to speak. Obviously, she's not hurting for money, so I don't know. Once again, we're back on the entire whether or not that's a necessary or not, but whatever.
Yeah, I never knew she did voiceover work, so that's news to me.
Yeah. See, I told you all these celebrities love doing voiceover work because, they don't have to get all dressed up. They don't have to do stunts. They don't have to go on location. They just show up at a recording booth and do their shit. And if they're, and every actor is basically a voiceover actor because it's the same thing. You just don't have to worry about your facial expressions and shit like that.
Yeah, I just find it hard to believe someone like that, though, that's actually been in like things that have made money would be taking voiceover work. So there's not near as much money in that as opposed to, actually being on a screen.
Well, that's possibly not true. I assume that it's entirely possible that they're making really good money doing it. Plus, it's easier work and it's normally takes way less time. So a lot of them can probably squeeze it into their schedule.
Why would they give them millions of dollars when they could pay you $5 on Fiverr?
Well, because just having a famous name associated with that will attract people regardless, and that's why it started getting popular. One of the very first ones I ever saw where a celebrity was doing voiceovers was for a commercial for like Chevy or Ford or something like that. It was Christian Slater, I think, talking about the new Silverado, and he has such a distinct voice that as soon as he started talking, people were like, oh fuck, that's Christian Slater. So I'm sure they paid him a boatload of money because it brought a lot of extra attention to the commercials that would not have been there if it had just been your generic voiceover guy.
Well, that one's a little bit different. So
so
for commercials, it's different because you want a distinct and identifiable type of voice. As far as doing actual like character voiceover, that sort of stuff, like you wouldn't necessarily need to try to pull in, celebrities, because that might actually distract from what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like, look at The Incredibles. That's the dude from Coach, who's not a huge star, but he had his own sitcom for a while, so obviously he's fairly famous. Holly Hunter, who's a well-known actress, and then and Samuel Jackson. And Jason Lee in the first movie played the bad guy. So it was all big names. I think the only ones that weren't big names possibly were the kids. I mean, it's really common nowadays. It's basically the same thing as as these movies go. It's basically the same thing as hired them for a regular job. Really, you want the biggest names you can get.
See, I don't see that as the best strategy. But hey, that's just me. Regardless, probably the person that got the got the shiniest deal ever for something like that was Vin Diesel. Getting paid millions of fucking dollars to say 3 words.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. And I don't want to bag on the guy, but that's probably pretty lucky for him because it seemed like to be the extent of his acting range. The first Fast and Furious wasn't too bad. I enjoyed that one. I haven't watched any of the rest of them. I heard they got good. They got bad, then good again, then bad again. I just haven't wanted to take the time to watch any of them. Saw one of his Riddick movies. I think. Possibly the second one. I know he did a couple. I watched bits and pieces of it. It couldn't hold my attention. I've never watched any of his X movies. So I believe this is probably a good thing for him. I mean, other than the Fast and Furious, what kind of work is he doing nowadays?
I don't know, but that's a full-time job in itself. We're at what, like Fast and the Furious 27, Madison, Wisconsin.
Did you hear about that whole thing with him feuding with The Rock?
Yeah, I think it was all just bullshit.
Maybe, maybe not. I've heard, The Rock was, from what I understand, what the rumors were, was very unhappy with how unprofessional Vin Diesel was, showing up late, and he thought he was being rude to people, and so The Rock wanted to call him up on it. And you're right, it might have just been publicity for the movie, but it seemed like it was fairly real. And I can imagine Vin Diesel being pretty full of himself at this point. He's been the lead of the movie for fucking 8 or what are they on like 8 or 9 or something like that.
Well, yeah, if you count the spin-off too, the Rock spin-off.
Yeah. So, I imagine when he's on the set of the Fast and the Furious, he believes he is the Fast and the Furious. I think he might actually have something to do with the production or own a piece of the franchise or some shit like that, which in case good for him. He's obviously going to have money forever. But that might have given him a big head. And a big head's not what you want around The Rock. Because no one's got a bigger head than The Rock.
Well, you can't really have a big head when all of a sudden they bring in like the #1 like action actor in the world right now.
Yeah, and he is, and which is funny because most of his movies don't do that great. It's never his fault. I think for an action hero, he's perfectly fine. He's got a good personality for it. Obviously he's a huge dude, so he can pull off most of that stuff. But despite all that, none of his movies have been amazingly successful. Some of them have been moderately successful to the point where they'll still keep on giving him roles in it. But a lot of them don't do all that great.
Surprisingly, I can't think of that many Rock movies that I've watched. Like I've watched the Fast and the Furious ones. I tell you what though, for a show though, Ballers was a great show.
I never saw that. Was it good?
It was good. I don't know if you would necessarily like it because a lot of it's about sports.
Right. And sports are not for Jay. He played an agent in that, didn't he?
Yep. Well, kind of an agent, kind of wealth management kind of thing.
Right.
I'm wanting to go to his IMDb just to see like what I've actually seen. Let's see.
Oh, I mean, I haven't seen. I know of a couple. Obviously, he did the Jumanji movie, and they're coming out with another one of those. I heard that was one of his best ones. He did the Rampage movie a couple of years ago. I haven't seen that one. I heard that one wasn't all that awesome. He did the and I don't think it was a remake of the Towering Inferno. It was some sort of skyscraper movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember him jumping around. And supposedly he was supposed to have a prosthetic leg in that or some shit. Let's see. What else was he in? He was actually in a pretty good movie, not back in the day with a Stifler from the American Pie movies. And that was actually pretty good. That was during the phase when The Rock was slimmed down quite a bit. Because his agents were telling him that Hollywood didn't want big dudes, so he was actually like the slimmest of his entire career in that movie, and I think 1 or 2. And then The Rock decided, "Fuck that! I want to be huge," and started bulking up again. Oh, he did the Pain and Gain movie. That was not too bad.
Pain and Gain wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was a little odd, but it was pretty. It wasn't too bad. He also did the Hercules movie, which I was not a fan of because if nothing else, they never had him do anything really Hercules like. There was a question about the entire movie if he was even Hercules or not. So that movie left me unsatisfied. I thought I was going to see him like lifting ridiculous things and throwing monsters around and shit like that, and that's not what we got. So I didn't like that movie that much.
He was also in The Other Guys. It was really only a cameo, but goddamn, that movie was great.
He was also in that movie not that long ago with Kevin Hart. Wasn't it like CIA or something? Our
Central Intelligence. Yeah,
Central Intelligence. Yeah,
I saw it. It wasn't great.
That's too bad. The guy from OG Snake Pits was like one of the stunt guys for that. He posted a picture at one point with him like being slammed upside down, but like from a different angle, so you could see like the cameraman and the mat he's about to land on and shit. It was pretty cool. The Rock had him completely inverted.
Well, good for him.
Oh, you never seen that picture?
No, I've seen some of the pictures he's done. So like, yeah, it's awesome that like he gets to do that stuff. It sucks the movie didn't turn out so great, but he doesn't really have any control over that.
Right. And he gets paid either way. So, and obviously he does good work. He's got right now, I believe he supervises stunt people more than he actually does it himself anymore.
That's the way to fucking do it. Yeah, like I don't want to be getting thrown through windows and shit.
Right. Yeah. And he's and he's getting older, just like the rest of us. And he's the one that had the famous dad, Frank Vincent, I believe his name is. Was that right?
I don't know. I don't know too much about him.
Oh well, yeah. His dad was actually famous. He was the guy in Goodfellas that said, go home and get your fucking shine box.
Goodfellas? Really? There was a Southern version?
Shut up. And that dude's been in like a bazillion movies as like a Italian gangster, so Italian mafia guy. So it turns out that's Snake Pit's dad. I assume that's how he got introduced into the Hollywood field, but obviously he made his own way after that. But that's a cool dad to have. Unfortunately, he passed away a year or two ago.
So,
yep.
you're missing the fights, Jay. There's already been a fight over. Your fight is actually coming up between the two chicks I'd never heard of.
the Kay Hansen and the chick whose name I can't say, something Fry.
Jinhu Frey, I think.
Yeah, Frey. Yeah, that's right. Correct. Both of them I was aware of just because I follow women's MMA. This is the what's her name? Not Jinhu Frey. The other one's UFC debut today. Actually,
I think it's both of theirs.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
I believe it was a short notice fight too, because Kay Hansen, that's who it was. Just announced that she was going to be in the UFC like a week ago, and then like a day or two later, they announced that she was fighting on this. So I believe she got the call on short notice, I would imagine. I don't follow the other one on social media, so I don't know about her though.
Well, you better hop to it, Jay. You're going to be our resident women's MMA expert.
Oh shit, dude! Yeah, there's only 15 minutes left in the show. I'm not even going to bother this to turn on the TV. I'll look it up tomorrow and see what the results are, which is what I do with 90% of fucking MMA nowadays. Heck, at one point I was thinking about canceling my ESPN Plus subscription since I won't be watching a pay-per-view for another 6 months or so. But as it turns out, that they had a problem with their website. Whenever I went to go to manage subscriptions, it logged me out. Like after about 10 or 15 minutes of this, I was like, okay, you win ESPN. I guess I'm keeping it for another month or two.
Oh, wait a minute. Can you actually do monthly? I thought ESPN Plus was a yearly thing.
No, I don't think so. Because I think I paid $80-something for like, it might have been 3 months or something like that when I got the pay-per-view. So the pay-per-view is like $60. So I'm pretty sure they didn't give me an entire year for like $20-something bucks.
Oh, that might be. I know when I got roped into it last, it was a year. So I think I'm good until like September or some bullshit.
I might be wrong. It won't let me check my subscription to manage it, those assholes. So I have no clue. I might have like 6 months or a year or something like that.
And it's probably one of those things they fucking auto-selected a year, and I was trying to fucking watch a pay-per-view that I was like 10 minutes late for. Goddamn bastards.
Yeah. That entire setup so shitty.
They tricked me, Jay! They tricked me!
I can't believe that they make you go through so many layers of stuff to get to their pay-per-views now. I'm sure it's money for them because of the ESPN thing, but it sucks for everybody else. And I know I've heard a lot of people that just won't get a pay-per-view because they don't want to go through all that bullshit.
And by the way, Homelander did say it's $5 a month. So it sounds like you also got screwed into getting multiple months at once.
Yeah, it's possible. What up, Tanner? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on? As soon as you answer the call, my dog starts fucking barking like an asshole. Come here, bud. Let's go. Come on, get in there. What's up, fellas?
Not too much, man. How you been?
All right, man. I don't know. I didn't even know there was a UFC tonight. Ever since I got rid of the OG, I have no idea what's going on in the world. I'm willfully ignorant, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that you said you were done with it a while back. Was it a specific instance that prompted it, or just a general OG nowadays?
Well, obviously I got into it with what's that fucking Angry Inch. I
Mm.
called him out, wanted to sit down and talk to him face to face, and I kind of got called out for being an asshole, which I was. But so there was that, but it's a culmination of everything that's going on in the world. I have no social media. That was the only social media I had.
Right.
So I'm best not even being on it because I carry that shit. I mean, some people like you got you have windows open all day long on your computer with different social media sites, different news
Yep.
sites. You're constantly intaking that input. I can't do that, man. I carry it with me, and when I carry it with me, it 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 really seems to kind of sully my interactions with people day to day.
Mm.
Just because when you hear how shitty you are all day long as a white cisgender male, it makes me think that no one fucking likes me. so I
No,
carry
hey.
that. So I'm
Right,
like,
right.
fuck you guys. No one fucking likes me. Fuck you guys. So it influences me in a certain way, which is not beneficial to being a good human. Honestly, not just being a cop, but being a good human.
No, yeah.
So I got rid of it, and I've been so much happier.
No, I understand where you're coming from. As I've mentioned before, with when any of those threads just get too negative, and I'm done trying to defend myself, and it's just people, person after person after person, calling me a horrible person. I leave the thread and I don't go back because after a while I'm like, well, maybe I am a fucking horrible person, and I don't need that in my life. I don't want the negativity, so I'll bail after a while. So I totally understand you not wanting to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's all negative, man. Like I said, that is the only, honestly, the OG, and this is really sad on my part, but um, it's the only thing that keeps me in touch with the actual, not that it's a real world, but what's going on. I don't watch the news. I don't read newspapers. I don't listen to the news on the radio. Um, I don't have TV. I don't know. Apparently, and you guys can tell me. Apparently, there was another fucking killing. A cop killed somebody in Atlanta. I have no clue about it. I don't know the specifics of the case, and I don't give a fuck. It doesn't have anything to do with me, and I'm not going to allow it to. Not going to allow it to affect me in my day-to-day interactions with people because it has nothing to do with me. And that's where I was getting caught up. I was getting caught up where I was the bad guy. I'm the fucking bad guy. And I'm not. I need to do my interactions from a purely objective basis, not a subjective basis. And me, I have to speak subjectively on this. When I'm reading the news, I'm seeing what's going on, I'm seeing what's being said about cops and whatever. I'm not doing it objectively. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
all that shit fucking weighs on me, dude. And some people can do it. I can't do it. I'm not that guy, man. I gotta go come in completely clear. And when I'm reading the news, watching the news, listening to the news, I'm not clear, man. That shit fucking sullies me.
Right. No, and I can understand that, especially since the OG was your only source of social media or media in general. I balance everything I hear on the OG as far as like information and such from several different news sites, Facebook, and all kinds of random sources. So I'm not getting just one thing. Because the OG, and I love them to death, they do slant a certain way as far as how they think about stuff. Uh, and I and which is good sometimes. I've learned lots of things on the OG I would never even realize, but it's not good to have all of your stuff from one source. You need other sources like different news sites or even Twitter or whatever. It's just something else to mix in there to give it a more objective feel. Because, like you said, when it's all coming from just one thing, it's really easy to get caught up in it.
Yeah, and it's weird um, how you don't we don't know each other, but we do. I feel like I know you. I feel like I know Ryan. Sly Dog. There's guys, and even posters that I haven't interacted with in this genre per se, but like that. Angry Inch. I mean, I feel like I know him, so it almost becomes a little personal when it
Hmm.
shouldn't be. You know. And I'm an obsessive compulsive asshole. And when I get into something, I get into something. Like, I will fixate on it. I will read the interactions between this poster and me over and over, seeing. I just get fixated, and I can't. It's so much easier for me not to even be involved with it.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I totally understand. Other than that, how you doing, dude?
No, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, and honestly, I'm doing the best I've been in a while, man. I'm just everything is light. I'm keeping everything light. I'm keeping my interactions with people really light. I'm appreciative of people who I come across every day, whether it's the person I was just getting subs down at the local sandwich shop, and I was very appreciative, and it's nice to be able to come in there unsullied like that, and that's where I'm at, man.
Yeah. Ruthie wants to know how the new puppy is.
Oh, he's a badass. We went on our first camping trip, and when I say camping, it's really glamping because I got a 32-foot travel trailer, a Winnebago, like a 2018 travel trailer that's probably nicer than 90% of the homes I've lived in my entire life. So we took that thing down to the lake and stayed for 3 days. It was the first trip this year, and took the puppy with us. And I fully expect puppies are work. It's going to be hard work, and I knew that. Well, he kicked ass. He learned to walk on a leash there. We went on long walks. Got him tired out, got him socialized. He had an interaction with a gigantic Burmese mountain dog. They played the sniff game. The dog laid right on his belly and fucking rolled around for him. So it was actually a really, really good educational period for the puppy, and he's doing really, really well.
Awesome. Oh, looks like we got a caller. Let's give this a shot. Apparently, Dominic Wash. Well, hello, sir. What can we do for you today? Oh, missed him. You guys got to give me a minute or two. If you call in, I'm going to wait until whoever's speaking finishes their sentence before I accept your call. So anybody who wants to call, you're more than welcome to, but you got to give me a minute because I'm not just going to dump you in the middle of someone else saying something. So
yeah, I'm checking the chat out, and Juicer's asking me about morale with my crew. Morale's it's down. You know what I mean? It's like I was saying before, and I hate to get into the negativity because I'm in such a positive mind frame right now. But if you're asking me to be completely honest, and that's what I'm going to be with you, it's down, and it's tough. I have one person of color on my crew, and I have one female. And we're all it just seems like I said, the only information that I get is from the OG, so it's very slanted that way, but it just seems like we're the enemy, and everybody's kind of feeling that. People want to hold on, bud. I'm on a call right now, bud. Okay. It just feels like, we're the enemy, and people want to throw their hands up. It's like, if you don't want our help, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, morale is definitely down. It's tough. And between you guys, you guys have heard me speak on the job for, I don't know how many hours I've spent with you guys on the podcast, but you've heard me speak of the job even before this stuff happened. I wasn't enamored with what I do. I don't necessarily enjoy it. I go in every day and do it to the best of my ability. I feel I do. So I wasn't even happy with what I'm doing before this shit went down. But either way, like I said, I'm in a good space anyways, and I'm doing my job. I'm gonna do it to the best that I can. And people are gonna fuck up. I might fuck up, but you know what? I'm gonna fucking own it if I do. I always do. That's in my opinion, that's a true mark of you can't even say this of man. You can't say the true mark of a man, but the true mark of a human being, a good-natured human being, is you fuck up, you own it. Because usually when you own it, the shit, people can forgive and forget. You know what I mean? And when you completely deny, or you hide shit, you deny shit, you displace blame on other people. Well, I only did that because of this. No. You know what? I fucked up. That's my bad. I'm going to take the consequences, and we're going to keep it moving.
Yep. Whenever I fuck up something at work, and like the boss says, "Oh, what?" My first thing is, well, you know what? That's entirely my fault. That's my mistake. And then we talk about how to proceed with not making that mistake again. And that's always your best bet. Oh, just don't try to shift it onto somebody else or like deny that it's your fault entirely. Own up to it. And it's always worked really well for me because the bosses don't want to hear excuses. They want to hear reasons why it's not going to happen again. So, and you can't start doing that if you deny that it's your fault in the first place.
You know, the fucked up thing is where I learned that is growing up. Hold on, bud. Where I learned that is watching the whole steroid scandal in baseball. I grew up as I collected baseball cards. I was a big baseball fan, played baseball up until high school. And yeah, that's my daughter. She's playing around. Sorry, guys. But what I learned is on that steroid thing, the guys that generally denied it when they were caught red-handed, it just fucking carried on and on and on for those guys. The guys that said, yeah, pretty much I fucked up, and it kind of just went away. I mean, granted, they're still not in the Hall of Fame, but the spotlight or the microscope per se really wasn't on those guys anymore. You know what I mean? They just kind of just went away. You know, they just kept playing.
Yep. As opposed to the people that denied it, and everybody rims them.
Yeah, you look at Bonds, McGuire for years. Clemens, the shit that he got into when the guy that was injecting him saved needles and bloody fucking gauze and stuff. It's like, people are fucking crazy, man. Just own that shit. Say you took some tests and keep it moving, man. Come on. Your whole life is getting... He got to a point where he could have been prosecuted for lying in front of Congress. Come on, man. It's not worth all that. I mean, seriously. No.
And besides, like you said, people always think more of you. Some of the biggest problems I have with John Jones is that he just never admits that he's ever done anything wrong. And when he does, it's so fucking fake that he doesn't think so. So I have a lot higher opinion of him if he'd actually own up to the mistakes he's made in the past.
Yeah, well, we've kind of gone over him multiple times and his narcissism or whatever the fuck. He's got a mental issue. But then again, that makes him who he is. That makes him it makes him that great. Not everybody can be George St. Pierre.
Right.
He probably did some shit too. But regardless, that guy has done everything right from the jump street. If he got caught up, he'd probably admit it because I think that's the type of guy he is. But there is, when you get to a certain level of athlete, and you talk about there's some Cornell wrestlers that I know that guys say, oh, the fucking guy's uncoachable, or he's these are national champions. Or you look at, I told you that Kyle Dake's dad was my coach, and he was crawling on the mats with me when I was a high school junior, and he was a fucking toddler. When you look at these guys at that level of athletics and competition, the only thing that sets them apart is mental. The physical is all there. I mean, you take any D1 wrestler, physically they're all competitive and capable, but it's that mind frame of you don't belong here with me. And sometimes that goes overboard into the narcissism where I'm a fucking superhero and you're not. And that kind of puts them on a different level,
Well, and then you have guys like Gable, who, like, his idea on steroids was, you do steroids, you've already lost. Like, you think you can lose. I know I can't.
Right. Yeah. He said, it was crazy. His view on steroids were, if you think you need them, then you're weak-minded, and I'm stronger than you right off the jump street. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's interesting how, like, the perception of steroids has changed over the years. I didn't watch all of it, but back in the 80s, Arnold was on a talk show with, I can't remember who, and they actually asked him about steroids, and he just so casually went, yeah, I did them, and this, that, and kept right on rolling.
Well, that's also bodybuilding. I mean, they are on all of the gear.
Yeah.
Even he downplayed his steroid use because he was saying that he only used it at the last end while he was peaking for a competition where he was trying to lose weight in water and maintain muscle mass, which is completely false. I mean, those guys they're not doing it they're not doing Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler, types of cycles nowadays, but they were on the gear. They were on all the fucking good shit, and they weren't just doing it to cut.
Right. And it's funny, a vast majority of these Hollywood action stars are probably doing a fair bit of it as well. Not from the big, huge guys like The Rock to like you look at Ryan Reynolds, dude. Fucking that guy probably has done a cycle or two in his life. He's not big at all. He's just really cut.
Oh, he's super. That guy aesthetically. Not to sound like a homosexual, and if I do, I don't care because he's a sexy man. No, he aesthetically has a very, very good look about him with the leanness that he has and the shape that he has.
Right,
and he's
right.
definitely been on something that has made him that lean. I don't know if he's doing Winnie or Anavar or some T-ball, not D-ball, but Tarina ball. Something that has leaned him out so he can be that cut.
And that doesn't bother me in the least bit. As long as you're not competing with someone physically, I don't care if you do steroids or human growth hormone or whatever. As a matter of fact, I kind of prefer it for my Hollywood action heroes. Come on, guys, get the fucking putting needles in your ass. I want a whole bunch of
that lawnmower, guys. Is that lawnmower way too loud?
I can't hear it at all.
I can't even hear it.
All right, because I'm outside.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we need like an entire army of Arnolds to do movies and shit. They should all be doing steroids and getting as huge as they can.
Dude, why wouldn't you? If you were going to get paid, whatever it is these guys are getting paid, whether it's, I don't care. I know Rock and those guys are probably making $20 million or north of $20 million a fucking film. If you could get paid that, and especially if you're over 40, why the hell wouldn't you? I don't understand why you wouldn't. They're really, if you look at the benefits to risk ratio, if you're over 40, even if you're not making millions per film, I don't know why you wouldn't be on at least a small cycle of testosterone.
Yeah, I'm going to look into it, being almost 50 here in a few years. So it's just the one time I brought it up with my doctor, he's like, "Oh, you're probably fine." So
yeah, but you were also talking to a general practitioner. Like, you need to talk to experts about these things.
You got to talk to an endocrinologist or somebody of that. Your general practitioner is going to look at you, and even if he takes your bloods and he sees that you're at the low end of normal or just even below normal on the low end, he'll be like, I think dude, there's recreational fucking bodybuilders and gym rats that know more about any type of steroid cycles and half-lives of different steroids and long-term versus short-term versus these guys, general practitioners that don't study this stuff, have no fucking clue, man. You can get on on a forum, and there's guys that have been in the game for years that know more about that stuff than your regular GP. Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Ryan?
No, you're absolutely right. Like, and this goes to a lot of things. Like, also when you have general practitioners start talking to you about diet and shit like that, generally they're pretty much full of shit.
Oh, is that so? Yeah, he's never really talked to me most about that. The only advice he's ever really given me was when I was around 38 or 40 or so. He said, you should probably exercise more. And ironically enough, I took his advice. So that part was good. But yeah, I obviously he doesn't know anything about anything specialized at all. So he's not the person I should be talking to. Well, no, speaking about talking, it's about time we stop talking. We're at our limit, or at least my limit. I got shit to do, like eat and go to bed, so I can get up really fucking early and do this all again tomorrow. Way. I want to thank the OG Army for showing up. You guys are the reason we do the show. I couldn't do it without you. I want to thank Tanner for calling. It's always an interesting conversation, man. Calling any goddamn time. Want to thank my co-host Big Dalton. Couldn't do the show without you, sir. Dalton, you got anything?
I think I have like 1.5 things today. The half a thing is, fuck, am I tired? I'm going to put on the fights and hopefully pass the fuck out in about 11 minutes.
What else you got?
Past that, as always, fuck all y'all.
You guys all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 6.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Screw you, hippie!